I'm going to show you how to build a water feature. Now don't stress, it's not as hard as you think. It just depends on what you're working with. Now I recommend the Aquapro round water feature base. It takes all the guesswork and hard work out of it. It's simple to install and it's even easier to maintain. So the goal is to build a beautiful little water feature here. I've gone for a pot that's 70 centimeters tall. It's a rectangle. It's got a wonderful texture to the outside. So when the water spills over the side, it'll grab every one of those bumps and pick up a little bit of air. So it'll look like more water's falling down the side. It's going to be admired from the dining room and from outside in this courtyard. Now the first step is the hardest part. You need to dig a hole that's about 30 centimeters deep and 70 centimeters round and put a bed of sand in it. That's the most physical thing you have to do. Then you place the base into that. Now if you want to go to the extra level of putting a spirit level on it, you can, but you don't really need to. By the time it's filled up with water, you can just tap it down and get it nice and level. The next step is to put this riser in the middle. Because we're putting a lid over the top and you've got the weight of the pot, this will hold up to 80 kilos, which will be much more than the pot and the water. In the side here, you've got a nice hole, so we can run our soft tubing. Now there's a meter of this in the kit, through there and up to the base of the pot. Now the pot we've gone with was a pot that was meant for a plant, so it's got a perfect drainage hole in the bottom. Now a meter of cord, or this poly tube, might look like it's excessive, but don't cut it short. It's great to have it tangled up inside where you can't see it. It means when you bring the pump out, you can wash it out in a bucket of water or with a hose, and you don't have to disconnect it every time. So the poly pipe just screws onto the bottom of our fitting, which goes through to a clear riser and brings the water to the top of our urn. Now I need to feed this back through here. The other end of that poly tube goes to our pump. Now I've gone for a type 1 simple water feature pump. This one can lift water between 600 mil and 1.2. So this being 700. So that goes in there and you're only seeing it when you're doing a little bit of maintenance. Now the pumps come in 240, 12 volt or solar. Solar wouldn't work here because there's a canopy of trees above me and it needs direct sunlight. 12 volt would work fine, just like your garden lights, but I like the oomph that 240 gives you. There's a power point in the corner. All I need to do is fill it up with water and then pump away. So we've had a dry run with water. Now, trust me, that makes sense. We've filled the reservoir and the pot up, turned it on, make sure nothing popped apart or leaked. Now we can cosmetically pretty it up with some pebbles. You can choose anything you like. Pebbles in, mulch back up to them, and the water feature is doing its thing. Now, don't stress about wasting water. It's going back into the reservoir. It's not evaporating or being splashed out. What you need to concentrate on is make sure plants don't touch it like this, because that becomes a corridor for the water to go down and leave your reservoir. But if nothing's touching it, it should work for weeks before you need to top it up. A splash of water every now and then, and it will always look this good. With a water feature like this, you too can create a bit of brilliance in your own backyard.